Welcome to week 3 of Newswriting. This week we will focus on the art of interviewing. And I say interviewing is an art because I think it really is. It takes practice to be a good interviewer, and whether or not you have a good interview can often determine if you're going to have a good story. Interviewing people is not always easy. Sometimes you're interviewing people when something tragic has happened to them, and they may not be wanting to even talk to you. Other times you're interviewing someone because they're under investigation or suspected of something. And again, it could be a difficult situation where they might not want to talk to you. Also, most people are not used to being interviewed, and they may be uncomfortable. One of the skills of a good interviewer is to help put the person they're interviewing at ease. And one tip I would have for putting someone you're interviewing at ease is to get them out. It helps to get them in public or to interview them in their office space, but to do it in person and not over the phone. Another really important tactic for interviewing is to do your research. In addition, it really helps if you can make use of silence. See what I mean? Silence is often uncomfortable for people, and if you can be patient and a good listener, eventually your subject will likely fill in the silence and talk. So I find silence to be a very effective interviewing tool. I think it is of value to come in with a list of questions you would like to ask. It's okay to have them written down, and then you can make note of ones you'd like to come back to. Maybe someone isn't comfortable answering a question when you begin your interview, but by the end they may be more open to talking to you. Another good piece of advice is to save the most controversial question for last. If you ask the question that might be most upsetting to them up front, you might find your interview over quickly. I also like to be respectful of time. I like to be on time for my interviews, and I like to tell the subject how much time I expect to take from them. And then I'd like to stick to that. Sometimes I'll ask if I can contact them for a follow-up. Maybe a second interview is necessary. I also like to ask people who else I could talk to, or who else knows them, or can corroborate a story maybe they've told me. Interviewing strangers can be a challenge, and sometimes we do stories called The Person on the Street, and I will have you do one of these for class. This is meant to get you feeling more comfortable about approaching someone you don't know and asking them questions. What you find might surprise you. Some people won't stop talking. Interviewing children can present special problems. Sometimes they don't have a lot to say or are especially shy, and you may have to find something that you can find in common with them to help open them up. One thing I find very effective in interviewing people is to interview them someplace where they may have a photo, and you can get them talking about that. Or maybe the weather. While that may sound simple, weather affects all of our lives and may be a good tool just to get someone to open up. When you're interviewing someone, be a little cautious. Remember, you are in control. This is not a conversation, and you are in charge. Some subjects, especially public figures and those who are used to being interviewed, may try to spin the story. They may try to turn the interview around and say only what they feel they are most comfortable saying. It's up to you to recognize this and develop the skills to turn the interview back into your control. So don't fear the interview. They really can make your stories better, and we like to see people in our stories. So I can tell you that interviewing does get easier over time, and so in this class I would like you to continue to challenge yourself to talk to people and find ways to help them open up to you. Don't ask the obvious questions, be respectful of their time, and make sure that you get the facts and that you've quoted people accurately.